Dzień dobry, witam bardzo, ale to bardzo serdecznie w Disco Elysium. Kurczę, kiedy ja ostatnio grałem w tę gierkę? W grudniu 2021 roku, to 3-4 miesiące temu, więc powiedziałbym, że tak średnio cokolwiek pamiętam, ale nie planuję od początku zaczynać w gruncie rzeczy z tej perspektywy, że podejrzewam, że ja będę kojarzył, co się działo na początku i przez to będę czuł, że nadrabiam to samo niepotrzebnie. Ale z drugiej strony detali nie pamiętam i to jest taki, wiecie, zawsze... zawsze przypał. Przyjechałem do Martinez zbadać sprawę morderstwa.
Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder.
Może chcesz mi pomóc i powiesz, kto to zrobił?
Of course, policia. It wasn't me. You can rule me out. Easier that way.
Should we? He's nice. I don't like nice. He didn't do it. It's the truth.
Musicie wiedzieć, co za tą bramą. Eksploruje okolice.
Friend, I respect the right to roam. The open range awaits.
To oznacza, że możemy je przepuścić przez bramę?
I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a granter of passage. The passage grants itself.
Beneath the jolliness, he suddenly seems doubtful.
Jak po prostu mogę sobie wejść?
I walk right past Measurehead and go in.
Ominąć miarogłowego?
Yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Semini supremacist there. Walk right past him, then press the button to unlock the door, then go past him again, and you enter the arbor through the office. Está.
Z jakiegoś powodu nie wydaje mi się, że to szczególnie łatwe.
Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best Measurehead in a physical confrontation, or you could convert to a Semini supremacist worldview, or maybe it actually is completely impossible.
Dzięki. Dzięki, doceniam to jak najbardziej. A któryś z łami strajków próbował przyjąć jego poglądy?
Jean-Luc himself would say the philosophy has proven overly heroic for the scabs to convert to. Not enough intuition.
A czy ktoś go pokonał fizycznie?
Not yet, no. He's incredibly strong.
Rozumiem.
Sure.
Kurwa, naprawdę ten gościu nas rozpierdoli po prostu. Okej. Z nim mogę porozmawiać na pewno. Zaśpiewaj karaoke. Obejrzyj ciało. Ktoś zamknięty pewnie na śmieci. Kierownik Gartę powinien mieć klucz. Możesz też użyć brutalnej siły, aby tworzyć pokrywę. Potrzebny ci tylko łom. Mam łom. Okej, czyli na razie się stąd wycofuję. Zobaczmy inne questy. Z tym gościem też było trzeba coś podziałać. Kurde. Ale ja mam łom, tylko nie mogę go użyć. W gruncie rzeczy to wynika z tego, że jest zbyt... jestem zbyt słaby. Nie wynika z niczego innego niż to, że ja jestem zbyt słaby po prostu.
This trash container is locked. The sliding lid has a padlock that says, whirling in rags.
Za słaby jestem, żeby to użyć. Kto ma kluczyk? Był dziennika. Kierownik Gartę powinien mieć. Jest kurwa kierownik Garty, to jest pytanie teraz, nie? 1000 punktów. Musimy skorzystać z głównego wejścia. To jest główne wejście? Chyba tak. Masz mało zdrowia, zainwestuj punkty w wytrzymałość. Nice. Kim ty jesteś? Ty jesteś tym kierownikiem?
Can I help you?
Upomnień na śmieci na tyłach jest twój?
Mine? No, it belongs to the whirling in rags.
Thank you for clearing that up. Why do you keep the container locked?
Why? To keep the hobos and drunks out. That's why. And the neighbors too. They put their trash there and they don't pay for the garbage company.
I thought as much. And are you the only party with access to the trash container?
Well, yes. Us and the garbage disposal company.
It seems a little callous, doesn't it? Something stirs in you.
Jakie to za uczucie?
Prod at him and find out.
Potrzebujemy tych kluczy.
What do you need them for?
It concerns the case. Please cooperate.
Just bring them back once you're done, please.
Okej. Ten temat kluczyka był łatwiejszy niż szukanie łomu. Ja pierdzielę, gdzie ten łom znalazłem? Miałem jakiś taki wewnętrzny problem, rozkmin, jak mam to zrobić. Po czym dostałem od tego ziomka kluczyk i po prostu to otworzę? Myślisz, że to będzie takie przyjemne?
This trash container is locked. The
Otwórz
sliding
kłódkę
lid
kluczem.
with a well-oiled crack. The lock pops open. Don't. Maybe you shouldn't.
Wewnętrzne imperium. Sukces łatwy. Nie, może nie powinieneś. Czy ja nie miałem przeczucia, że coś jest w środku?
There is, but you won't like it. Sweat forms on your brow. Your hand is still on the lid.
O kurwa, dobra, otwórz.
The smell of rotten food rises to greet you. You see soggy cartons, dirty rags, and organic waste.
We're just in time. This hasn't been emptied for over a week.
Spójrz na kartonowe pudełka.
You see milk and egg rest with one broken egg in it. Some pasta wrapper. Picking up the soggy packages somehow feels familiar.
Okej, dlaczego, co?
You've done this before. The movements are recorded in your elbows, the methodology in your fingers. You're used to this. No, searching for evidence in the trash. A box falls into pieces in your hands. Batiste Soleil cereal. There are plastic pasta packages below, and turbo noodles. Nothing of note, however. Among the threadbare kitchen towels, something catches your eye. A pair of denim trousers. As the legs of the slime-covered jeans begin to unspool from the garbage, a rank corpse smell fills the air.
The victim's clothes? Cadaverine odor is faint. If these belong to the deceased, they were removed when he was still in the early stages of decay. Drop them in here, officer. Guitar marked blue jeans. Pockets empty or emptied. He wore them with a belt, too, a white belt. The loops appear stretched, but
O mój Boże, ale ten Kitsuragi jest takim miłym gościem. Skąd on się urwał, że jest dla nas taki miły? Nie czaj, jesteśmy kurwa menelami.
the belt is missing. That's it. Do you see anything else in there? I have another bag here.
Something slimy catches your eye. A drab, long-sleeved shirt, olive-colored, appears from the food waste, dripping with pus.
This is a military type overgarment. No label or serial number. This is the kind of rib-knit shirt that's worn over light armor to conceal it in an urban scenario. Anything more?
The rest of the rags are just kitchen variety waste. A yellow old mug that catches your eye. But other than that,
All right. We should go to Gart again and ask if he knows who put the clothes in the trash. It could be as simple as someone from the hostel cleaning the yard. Or that one. I'd advise against confronting that force.
No więc zapytajmy te dzieciaki, chociaż to był problem duży.
What about kids? You hear that, Kuno? He thinks you're an infant or something.
See? Not really. All we know is the victim's clothes are in the trash, the lid was locked, and his establishment had the key. It's just a small loose thread.
the lieutenant nods, then looks back into the trash container.
Czuję resztki jedzenia.
It's just organic waste, cold and slimy on your hands. Apple and potato peels mostly. Unidentified sludge, and the occasional chicken bone thrown in for good measure. But hey, nothing. It's nothing. Nothing more to see here. What's this? A blue piece of plastic sticks out from the apple peels. It's shiny. Looks like the corner of something. Something larger. A clipboard. A blue plastic clipboard with moist papers hanging from it. They look badly damaged, but you can still make out forms and notes, written in a man's handwriting.
Officer, is that your paperwork?
Nie, to niemożliwe.
Yes, it is. Look. This plastic has the RCM street grid on it. You've even got an autopsy form. If you don't mind my asking, how could you have let your paperwork end up in the trash?
O mój Boże, dlaczego? Chyba nie chciałem być dłużej gliniarzem, dlatego spróbowałem spuścić moje gliniarskie życie w kiblu.
Well,
His eyes express a rare condolence. Then he picks it up.
lucky we found it. You should take stock of what remains, just to be sure some has not made it into the hands of the RCM's adversaries. Organized crime and the like. There might have been police secrets in your notes.
Dobrze, tak zrobię.
It would also not hurt to start taking notes on the case. Now, tell me what your eagle eyes see. Or are we finished?
Some items, such as the ledger you found, are interactable. Go to your inventory and select the Interact tab to read your paperwork.
Okej, dobra. Kubek. Ten kubek też zabieram.
You pick out a broken mug with an oddly racist depiction of the yellow man frolicking in saffron,
To zabytek?
only in its social sensibility.
You've acquired an interactable item. Investigate this item further by going to the Interact tab in your inventory.
The container sounds a muffled gong.
That's one thing off the list. I think we got it all.
Też mi się wydaje, że tu nic więcej nie znajdziemy. Co my mamy w takim razie? Interakcję. Uszkodzony notatnik. Jest pełen tekstu zapisanego ciężkim męskim charakterem pisma. Przyjrzyj się uważniej. Może dałoby się coś z niego wykorzystać.
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A pitiful cabbage of white and yellow papers hanging from plastic board, barely held together by a metal clip. This sad display is made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner. There's a piece of toilet paper, or is it cleaning tissue? No, it's toilet paper, desperately sticking to the back of the blue plastic clipboard. It's a metaphor for you.
Jesus Christ, jaki ten narrator jest kurwa obrzydliwie niemiły dla nas.
Below the pathetics, terror. Do not look into its blue heart.
Spójrz na papier toaletowy.
It's just toilet paper sticking to the back of the plastic clipboard. You can take it off if you want.
Zostaw go tam, jest fajowy.
Way cool.
Puść na zacisk.
An aluminium block runs the width of the board, biting down on the paperwork. Its crocodile teeth are the only thing keeping the papers together. A regular pencil, the tip worn down to nothing, has been attached to the clip.
Przejdź palcem po aluminium.
The surface is interrupted by a silvery sticker. It's rectangular, sparkling with iridescence. You don't know how you didn't notice it before.
Poruczniku, czy to jeden z tych holograficznych znaków wodnych, o których mówiłeś?
What? Yes, halogen watermark used for adding information to RCM property.
Jak mogę odczytać?
Any capable light with the right wavelength will do.
Jak na przykład?
All RCM vehicles have headlights designed to reveal halogen watermarks. Mine too.
This means you can read the watermarks if you just turn the lights on.
Ciekawe, jakich informacji.
It depends. Aside from an anti-counterfeiting stamp, mine has my station number and address. The information varies by date of issue.
How many years you've been on the force, he's thinking. It'll have that.
Kurczę, rzeczywiście, mogę się dowiedzieć, jak długo już służę.
Okay.
While a bunch of sodden papers sag from the clipboard in your hand, it's a sorry sight.
Czyli białe dokumenty.
They're not exactly white. They're yellowed in patches by sunlight and alcohol and covered in dense blue handwriting. Ink escapes into watercolor patterns, reaching its tendrils across entire pages. The paper itself is checkered with faint red lines, forming short paragraphs. Once in a while, there's a red stamp that exclaims, "Case files commit to paper." The case files themselves are plenty. You count more than 100 sodden, crumpled up, earmarked pages falling apart in your hands. They appear to be sufficiently organized and extremely dense, if mostly illegible.
Tam jest? O czym one są?
Work, strife, poverty, the Jamrock Quarter. These are handwritten logs of investigations dating back to January 51, this year. The exact number is hard to estimate due to missing pages and an odd naming convention. But there are at least 20, maybe 30 cases undertaken, not completed, mind you. It's the middle of March. You have attempted 2 cases a week on average.
Czy 2 sprawy na tydzień to duże obłożenie pracą, poruczniku?
Huh? 2 complex cases to undertake is a lot, yes. You really have to push yourself. I would not suggest it, lest you start making mistakes.
Wygląda na to, że 2 sprawy tygodniowo to moje dotychczasowe obłożenie pracą, poruczniku, ale nie jestem pewien, czy je rozwiązywałem.
2? That's a lot. I didn't mean to say you are making mistakes, by the way. That was presumptuous of me.
Więc wątpię, że popełniłem masę błędów.
It's okay. We all make mistakes.
God knows I've made my
Biznes też
share.
taki jest rozumiejący.
Think of them. Like a fan of girls, the checkered papers dry in your hand. The handwriting is extremely dense, if mostly illegible.
Było coś o konwencji nazewniczej?
Yes, it appears you employ a, shall we say, robust yet literary system. Each investigation has its case number written on the margins. Yet, still more tellingly, most are accompanied by a name.
Ojej, w dodatku są zapisane wersalikami.
Yes, all caps. One is called The Next World Mural. Another, The Square Bullet Hole Murders. Another yet, The Unsolvable Case.
Jeszcze jakieś?
Others appear more light-hearted. The guys on a couch in an unexpected location, and the murder at the hookah parlor. Even the rare Article 3 collapsing tenement. Murder features prominently throughout. It's going to take an effort to piece these case files together, but it can be done. Once you're done inspecting them up close.
Kim? Moje sprawy najwyraźniej są nazwane wedle jakiejś konwencji.
You mean the alphanumeric? Officer, precinct, time of arrival at the scene?
Nie chodzi mi o numeryczną, tytułami.
Oh, you mean the titular? Yes, well, so do I. In our defense, almost everyone in the RCM does.
Dlaczego?
It's a holdover from the early days of the RCM, right after the revolution, when the organization had little idea how to do things. It persists in an unofficial capacity. Officers use these titles to refer to their work among themselves.
Widzę, że nazwałem jedną z praw z morderstwa z kwadratowymi kulami.
Again, in your defense, I seem to have named one the man with the hole in his head. That was a real person. His death was real. Still, I named it that, to amuse myself. I pray his loved ones never find out.
Co mu się stało?
Rail spiked through the head. He died. It was a workplace accident.
Policz strony, muszę stworzyć oficjalny akt sprawy. Mam na nie miejsce?
There is, for precisely one more. 15 pages near the end remain untouched by the damage. The checkered grid forms a structure of passages, breaking the case into subtasks to accomplish.
Udokumentuj.
The ledger only comes with an old, worn-down lead pencil. It will do, barely. But
Kim, masz może długopis?
the lieutenant looks at his blue notebook. 2 fat, shiny pens hang from the binder, like large-caliber bullets on an ammo belt. It's downright incriminating. He has little choice but to give you one, although he really does not want. He is not really saying anything, just standing there, looking at them.
Mógłbyś mi dać jeden?
Know that I give this to you with resentment.
Weź tę piękność i udokumentuj.
The tasks you've completed flow out of the blue oblong pen in a brash freehand uncannily similar to the rest of the letters. The wording comes easily. It's almost robotically simple. A language developed for mental rigor and simplicity. Inspect the victim's body. Interview the cafeteria manager.
Wykreśl te zadania, które już
A
wykonałeś.
satisfying slash sounds across the paper. You're done, it seems to say. And you, and you. Things to be done and things already done. The composition of reality. This is an extremely useful tool for a detective of the citizens' militia. Now all that remains is to name the case.
Poruczniku, czy nadałeś może przypadkiem naszej sprawie nazwę?
No, actually. Any ideas?
Wisielec.
Great. That's great. That's actually what I was thinking too. The Hanged Man. Good, strong name. We have a very good name for the case now. I'm going to start calling it the Hanged Man. It's good we sorted this out.
Nie chcę już tego czytać. Zamknij akta.
You don't exactly close them, so much as distance yourself from the smelly papers. They're a little further from your nose now.
Schowaj notatnik. Czy ja mogę teraz zapisać grę? Nie mogę. Schowaj notatnik. Zapiszmy grę jeszcze raz. Dobra. Okej, interakcja.
It's the ledger oh, and the cool
Logika 11.
is stuck to the back. It's proving to be harder than expected.
Powodzenie testu.
It's the oh, and the cool piece of yes. You can
Okay.
piece them together using the alphanumeric code on the margin. It always begins with HDB 41, then date of initialization and time of arrival on the scene, followed by the title. For example, HDB 41120111700, the next world mural.
Zaraz. HDB 41? Czy nie miało być w kolejności funkcjonariusz komisariat?
Why, yes, your precinct number is 41.
A HDB?
Every last alphanumeric in the files begins with it. And these are your case files. It's safe to say HDB are your initials.
Nie są moje inicjały, nie czuję ich.
Feeling isn't really the jurisdiction we're in right now. Probably for the best, because HDB feels like bad news from yesteryear. Like shit, honcho.
Ile czasu zajmie przeczytanie jednej ze spraw?
It takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've devised. Where do you want to start?
Mural Nowego Świata.
This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Overnight on 1202, a graffito, nay, a mural, appears on an 8-story tenement overlooking central Jamrock. The building is a sparsely inhabited ghost tower, part of a failed real estate development called Grand Couronne. The mural is enormous. 2 silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. The text cut into their form reads, "True love is possible only in the next world. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class. People call it that thing and that fucking thing. It's visible for miles. In 2 days, the station's complaints desk gets clogged with requests to remove the bummer. You and your partner are assigned to the case. The graffito crew is easy to track down. Only the bell lectures have the literage of industrial paint to cover the surface. One of the graffito artists is rumored to be rich. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the next world mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown.
Zaraz, ale czy dowiedziałem się kiedykolwiek, czy kto był pomysłodawcą?
The case files do not show you finding the author of the design. The crew agrees to clean up after themselves. However, your partner, JV, is against the removal, citing public support for conservation. This leads to a debate in Precinct 41, which then spreads to the streets of Jamrock, ending in a rare plebiscite organized by you and the rest of Row 3. The 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message, all of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villalobos, plus half of the eminent domain, participate in the vote. Although the case begins with what appears to be a lot of rambling on the streets as to how juvenile and stupid the mural is, given a choice between 2 options.
Należy zachować mural, jest odpowiedni.
A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority, and that love truly is possible in the next world for new people, and it is too late for us.
Nie to wini klasy średniej. To po prostu ludzka natura.
Did anyone ask you what you believe in, man with the smelly toilet ledger? What do you want to tackle next? Or are we done?
Sprawa nie do rozwiązania.
AKA Leslie and Burke. AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk is a cursed case. It has been passed from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it, it is unclear. Every officer, and indeed most civilians in Jamrock, know it's unsolvable. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It is their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man, and you can't lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration. The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rear-view mirrors would be for them to stop drinking alcohol, which, in their 40s or 50s, it's hard to tell because of their distorted features, is a medical improbability on par with you ceasing to produce the expression. Threatening fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in. locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get the local gang of Zemyaki to take them out. The Zemyaki gave them ethanol, so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all, and still the complaints wouldn't stop, as they hadn't stopped for 10 years. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH, had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street. Because there they are, on the corner of Perdition. And what is Leslie doing?
Dopuszcza się aktów wandalizmu? Obnaża się w miejscu publicznym?
Good, you're learning. If the files are to be trusted, that's all there is to it. That and Burke breaking things, and the fact that they're both drunk. But then again, so are you. The case becomes considerably less comic one day when Burke takes a swing at your ledger. He must have it confused with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're drunk out of your mind on potent Pilsner. You slam the hardened plastic board in his face. Then you proceed to beat him unconscious with it. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. The officer began to cry, reports Leslie, who, at this point, is tending to Burke. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeables compartment is open. You've smashed it open on poor Burko's kneecaps. The good news is, Burke can't walk anymore. Can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke. Who knows? But both drunks are off the street. The complaints stop. The unsolvable case is solved.
Ja pierdolę, ale to rozwiązał.
Which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one?
Morderstwa z kwadratowymi kulami.
It would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square-shaped entry wound in the victim's forehead. She's been sitting there for weeks, on her rocking chair, with a square hole in her skull, staring at the wall, her mouth agape. That's all you got. From the half hour you spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. You never found the bullet. And then another body showed up, also with a square hole in his forehead. Who knows? Those pages are missing. What next? Don't worry. One day.
Kanapa w nieoczekiwanym miejscu.
Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it. In the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hillside by the motorway. You know, at an unexpected location. They were young, and they thought they looked cool on it.
Na środku ulicy, na dachu, na zboczu wzgórza. Wygląda jak zespół rockowy.
Yes, as you've said here, insufferable rock and roll assholes. Young people are the worst. So anyway, you got a complaint about the damn sofa, or couch, or whatever it was. They were leaving it out in all these unexpected and whimsical locations. They took it to where they also took photos of themselves on it, and smoked cigarettes, and drank coffee because they felt it's intellectual.
Kawy jest intelektualne, to ciekawe.
Cigarette butts, coffee cups, stupid couch. You had to clean it all up, and you did. So congratulations to you. Case solved.
Zapałem w ogóle tych chłopaczków?
No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you have what is called a real goddamn job. You don't have time to be chasing down the couch assholes. You have a real job to do. What next?
Morderstwo w palarni fajek wodnych.
Murder. Tum 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 at the hookah parlor was a case originally assigned to an officer called Joseph Mills, who is now dead, of circumstances completely unconnected to murder at the hookah parlor.
I Lek zginął.
Beaten to death by a throng of Villalobos gang members when him and his partner J.M., only initials mentioned, answered a call one night. It's a sad story, and it isn't really represented in your case files. Stop stalling and get to the murder at the hookah parlor.
Czas na morderstwo.
Joseph Mills was on this case that he just couldn't solve, was doing it solo, said it was a real nutcracker, a real brain twister, was on it for, like, a month. The captain got impatient. Shit or get off the pot, Mills. Mills didn't get off the pot. Not yet. He kept at it for a couple of weeks more, racking his brains, running with every theory, as outlandish as they seemed. Still couldn't solve the murder at the hookah parlor. Tough case, he said. Toughest he's ever had.
Czy Joseph Mills był dobrym gliną?
No, he was awful. Awful sense of humor, too. The worst jokes you've ever heard. Really rapey. Still, he'd been on it for months now. Said it was the final case. Said it was uncrackable. That murderer vanished into thin air. That goddamn hookah parlor was all he talked about. Okay, so the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere, and you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found dead in a hookah parlor. You know, those places where you go and smoke bubblegum-flavored vapor all day.
Ale głupota.
Yeah. So anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open, right on the floor of the hookah parlor, in the middle of the day. No one else is in there. Only client that day. In perfect health, too. Some kind of movie producer. No one enters. No one exits. He's just sucking on his watermelon hookah all morning, all noon, like he usually does. He's a regular. No calls, nothing. Just sucking on the hookah until 15:45. Then bam, he's dead on the floor with his skull busted open, blood everywhere. What happened? Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin, movie deal gone sour. Girl at the counter did it. Nothing fits. Eerie. Man just dropped dead. So you go to the parlor. You see cushions around the table. Table's low, heavy, really sharp edge.
Zaciągnął się fajką, wstał, stracił przytomność, uderzył się głową w stół i umarł?
See? You can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your brain's oxygen supply, and you don't notice it until you get up to go to the bathroom.
Musiał się tego naprawdę sporo nawdychać.
Yeah, he liked his hookah. Stephen was his name.
Ale co on tam robił przez 6 godzin?
Smoking hookah. Didn't you hear? I don't know. Trying to come up with a movie script, maybe. Anyway, that was murder at the hookah parlor. Joseph Mills wasn't a good detective, and about 30 minutes has passed, piecing it together. Next.
Mógł wrócić do tego później, schowaj akta.
Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags arson, petty theft, spousal abuse. You don't exactly close them so much as a
Przejrzyj żółte dokumenty.
in the back. You see thin, translucent copy of paper. Some neon yellow, some bright red, all covered in boxes, like marching armies. These look like official forms, waiting to be filled out. Then rip them from the binder and hand them out, according to type of form.
Jakie są rodzaje formularzy?
3. The topmost are misconduct fines. The middle ones are station calls. And the bottommost are field autopsy forms. Each is easy enough to make sense of.
Mandat wykroczenia.
A monetary penalization ranging from 20 to 250 real. Severe cases allow for 1,000 real, but that requires special paperwork. The details of issuing these fines are spread out over the rest of the fields.
Wyzwanie posterunkowe.
These are quite sinister in tone. They give a date and time for the person to appear at the specified precinct police station. Below the call are the criminal charges you risk by not appearing.
Autopsja polowa.
A dozen pages of thin copy paper, bright red in color. You see the parameters of a deceased human form waiting to be filled in. Age, sex, condition of internal organs.
Mam już dość.
Yes, all that remains now is to fill those forms and hand them to people. Fines for wrongdoers, interview requests for bad guys, and field autopsies to dead guys. What delicious power hid within this pathetic mess. You feel better. The rest of the stinking cellulose is much worse for wear. Being sandwiched between the board and the rest of the paperwork must have spared the fragile copier paper.
Spójrz na podkładkę.
It's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to submission with. The edges are rounded, however. The U4 size board feels thick and heavy in your hand. Light shimmers on its wet surface. On the back you see the embossed letters RCM.
Mówisz, że jakiego jest koloru?
Blue. The blue heart. Don't look into it.
Potrząśnij notatnikiem.
Something rattles inside, ever so lightly. Is there a hidden compartment?
Leżysz do
The
środka.
plastic shimmers like lapis lazuli, but it is not see-through. You cannot see to its center.
Potrząśnij.
Something rattles it. The plastic shimmers like lapis
Jak mogę to
lazuli
otworzyć?
with your hands. U4-sized pages hang from the clip, screwed to the top of...
Okej. Zróbmy zapis.
It's the legend. Oh, and the cool piece of toilet paper.
Super.
The two sides of the board appear slightly misaligned, like a drawer that's come off its slides. If you bend the plastic on your knee slowly, the slides snap back into place. It should be possible to just, without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open.
Co jest w środku?
2 ticket stubs and a handmade postcard.
Weź odcinki biletów.
2 octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other in the colored pencil drawings. The tickets permit access to the zoo in Revachol East. The aquarium costs extra. These let you go there too.
Weź kartkę.
Thin wax paper has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Sounds like leaves rustling when you pick it up. You see violet flowers, floral patterns, patches of glue.
Najpierw powąchaj.
It smells of chewing gum, apricot flavored, a touch of cinnamon, the end of summer. You think the label says tutti frutti.
Otwórz ją.
Familiar handwriting lines the inside of the card, looped, round letters in a woman's hand. A young woman in her 20s. There is care, effort, and a smile, you think. Although that is not something you can read from someone's handwriting. Harry, it begins. You're already reading. I wanted to write you a letter so you can read it when you wake up. Maybe it will make you happy. Throw it away, please.
Ale poczuję się szczęśliwy.
A merciful wind blows in from the bay of Revachol, dusting the ground at your feet and raising newspapers far away.
Nie puszczaj jej, przeczytaj.
Your hands shake, holding on to it. Every morning when I step out and you're asleep behind me, it says, I find a little piece of sadness in me. I carry it in my chest, down Voyager Road. Every step I take, it grows. By the time I reach the fuel station, it has filled me entirely. I step onto the light rail and look back. Sparks fall from the bow collector. I know it will be like this until late afternoon, when I get off the 42 and walk back to you.
Czytaj dalej.
You. Every step I take will get lighter. It almost makes me run. Sometimes I do. I can't believe I met you. I can't believe the happiness I feel with you. You have a vast, vast soul. and I will always, always, always come back to it.
Czyli dalej.
Kisses, kisses, kisses. You feel the air sucked out of your lungs and the blood sucked out of your head. Everything around you gets dark. Small white dots appear. You feel the ledger slip from your hand.
Padnij na bok.
There is nothing again.
Fajne to było. Podobało mi się to.
Hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your copo type.
Dobrze, ale może do tego wrócimy następnym razem. Serdecznie dziękuję za oglądanie, mam nadzieję, że wam się spodobało. Do usłyszenia, siemanko, no i cześć. Dziękuję bardzo za oglądanie mojego materiału, mam nadzieję, że wam się podobało. Jeżeli wam się spodobało, pamiętajcie, żeby kliknąć kciuk w górę, zasubskrybować i kliknąć dzwoneczek, wszystko, aby zawsze być na bieżąco. Jeżeli macie coś do napisania, napiszcie komentarz, dzięki temu będę wiedział, że jesteście, że wam się podoba i przede wszystkim, że chcecie, żeby tych materiałów pojawiało się więcej. Dodatkowo, jeżeli chcecie się wdzięczyć za to, co robię i podoba wam się moja praca, pamiętajcie, że możecie kliknąć w moją nazwę, wejdziecie do strony głównej mojego kanału, kliknąć opcję wesprzyj i za 2 zł, 10 albo 30 zostaniesz wspierającymi według waszej tutaj chęci i potrzeby oddania trochę tej dobroci w moją stronę. Dziękuję bardzo za oglądanie, trzymajcie się, do usłyszenia. Bardzo serdecznie dziękuję wszelkim wspierającym za to, że jesteście. Dziękuję tym, którzy byliście wspierającymi i dziękuję wszystkim tym, którzy po tym właśnie filmiku zdecydowaliście się na wsparcie. Przede wszystkim to nie jest tak, że wspieracie osobę, która ma tysiące widzów. Wspieracie małą społeczność, której dzięki każdej osobie z was, każdej złotówce, którą mi przelejecie, każdym 2 złotym, które jesteście wspierającymi ptasiakami, za każdą tą jedną osobę bardzo serdecznie dziękuję i za każdą tą złotówkę dziękuję, ponieważ dzięki temu po prostu mam chęci, mam motywację i przede wszystkim mam dodatkowe finanse, które pozwalają utrzymać ten kanał i utrzymać wszystko, co się wokół niego dzieje, włącznie z kosztami prądu, kosztami kupowania nowego sprzętu, kupowania nowych gier i w ogóle całego czasu, który spędzam, czy to nagrywając, czy to streamując i czy to, jeżeli w przypadku wielu sytuacji rozmawiając i wspierając osoby, które w jakiś sposób czują się gorzej. Więc moja działalność jest bardzo szeroka i cieszę się, że doceniacie ją. Jeżeli ktoś z was czuje się gorzej i chciałby ze mną porozmawiać i ma jakieś takie problemy, możecie do mnie napisać, zagadać, wszystko na Discordzie, a link do Discorda w opisie.